Space, the final frontier. And that's it. That's it. The final frontier. Nobody's going to go to it. Nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to travel to it. This is why space travel just isn't going to happen on Deep Fat Fried.
Deep Fat Fried!
2022 will be the year that we literally drown you in content. 156 standard 30-minute episodes of Deep Fat Fried, 52 long-form episodes of Deep Fat Fried, 37 episodes of Dank D&D, live episodes of Onion Nuggets every Wednesday, new Cinema for Cynics reviews, Fighting Boys, Abandon Hope, Hideology, Ask Hollywood Love, and The Grease Trap. And even if you manage to watch it all, we still have a massive back catalog of old content that's going to blow your mind. We have got metric tons of old commentaries, grease traps, mountains of Deep Fat Fried episodes. We've got oceans of flash fries. We got valleys of Abandon Hope and Hideology and other miscellaneous content you could watch for weeks, if not months, straight. And with all this content, both new and old, we have realized that it is time to simplify our Patreon. Yes! Right now, our Patreon is split into a $10 tier and a $5 tier. Now, this has long aggrieved us because our philosophy in this company is that simplicity is best. How do we create so much content? We keep it simple. We keep it streamlined. We commit to a process, and we constantly fine-tune that process. Anything that wastes time, we get rid of. Having two patron tiers is not in line with our philosophy. So, we've decided to unify into a single tier at the price point of $7. Join the Pessimist Productions Patreon today, because we are looking very forward to entertaining you all in 2022.
Damn.
Brutal.
Sad
Brutal.
episode.
I
Sad
mean,
episode, man.
I just was kind of baiting people with the doomery shit, with the title and the intro and shit. Look, I understand and a lot for the idea that we might like hit the singularity or some shit, and then like the quantum AI mind that's born from that might like solve the problem and go, here is the photon drive that will allow you to traverse the galaxy in mere seconds. You know, that it could happen. But barring that, we're a whole long way away from even colonizing something in our local fucking area, much less traveling the stars, right?
Even like a moon base, dude. We don't even have the moon base. Like, if you don't have a moon base, can you have like, a Mars base? You can't have nothing.
The problem is we've turned to science to fucking solve the problem of space travel, when in fact we should have been looking to magic, Scotty.
Magic?
Magic!
I had no idea.
Perhaps a wizard can cast a spell to send us whirling across space and time, Scotty.
No.
Wow.
Wizard cannot do that.
Didn't a lot for that, did you? Paul's ego.
I
That's
didn't.
true. Paul did
I
not
really
allow
wasn't.
for a magical solution.
Does this document at any point, Paul, even address magic?
It doesn't.
Wow.
It doesn't.
I would say it's woefully incomplete then.
Wow, I would say, all right, let's scrap this one. Back to the drawing board.
episode
Back to the drawing board.
I didn't put wizards into. I did a lot for the wizard theory. Sorry.
I respect all theories, Paul.
I actually bump into this shit a little bit because if you ever tune into my ideologies, that I do a lot of like doomering, and there's a lot of people that are like, well, what about like, Mars? We can get to Mars, and that could be a whole other planet, and blah blah. And they don't really like. I really think a lot of people have a hard time conceptualizing how far we are from that.
Yeah,
and how many different things would have to fall into place for us to get to that. And so I try to break those down kind of, in simple terms. And the first one is just distance.
Yeah, shit's pretty far.
You gotta go really far.
So distances in space are vast. So far, manned spacecraft have made it as far away as the moon. And that's a little under 250,000 miles. In contrast, Mars, long assumed to be the next target for a manned spacecraft, and long talked about, by the way, too. So I was like, we're going to put a man. Remember, Trump was going to put a dude on Mars, and
Yeah, a lot of people were about to do it.
Everybody's about to put a dude on Mars. Any moment now, a dude's going to happen on Mars.
Man will set foot on the red planet.
It's 50 million miles away at its closest point that you can hit it.
We made it 250,000. Who's to say we can't make the 50 million?
I mean, yeah, that's a little far to go. We just got to go 49,750,000 miles more, and bam, we're there.
Yeah, dude.
I feel thank you, ma'am. Hello, Mars.
Like we're like 2% of the way there, 1% or something. Like, yeah, you know what? So
hell yeah. I mean,
we made some vast progress towards that goal.
The sun is one astronomical unit away from the Earth. That's 93 million miles, pretty stable. And that's used to measure, longer distances over space. In contrast, Alpha Centauri, which is the nearest star to our own sun, is over 25 trillion miles away. So the idea of us going to Mars, maybe somebody will walk on Mars someday. The idea of us like escaping this solar system to kind of like do the whole Star Trek thing, that's it's a bigger order of fries. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Well, when warp technology is invented,
I'll take
Paul,
25 trillion fries, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, dude, they're gonna invent warp technology and shit faster than the speed of light. Boom. You can be wherever you want in the universe. Everyone knows that. Everyone's seen Star Trek. What about Star Wars, dude? Hyperdrive or whatever. Boom. It's like, boom.
Yeah, you fucking just hit a button, them stars just fucking glide on by like nothing. Wah!
So Paul's not taking into account shit movies have already done. Movies have already figured out space travel.
Yeah, we just need to ask movies.
Well, let's talk about something that I think is born out of sci-fi and the movies. Let's talk about like the grav couch slash cryo.
We'll go into
sleep.
Because of the long distances involved. We'll go into cryo sleep.
It's kind of an interesting shot here. A lot of people don't know this. They didn't have a bunch of these pods. I think they only had 5 of them, and they used a big mirror to make it look like there were way more of them.
Yeah, I can see where it is. I think now that you mention it.
But not something that you ever notice kind of just on a casual viewing of this. This, by the way, is from Aliens. Yeah. As we go along, I pulled some other conceptions of these, but so there's a lot of like woohoo out there about these types of technologies coming into being. I thought maybe we could take a look at one of them. This is a buzzworthy article that I pulled here that I thought we could read from about how NASA has made CryoSleep a reality. Not a misleading headline at all.
So we can do it then.
It says they're making it a reality.
Oh, they're making it.
They're in the process of making it
at some point,
at some point in the future, maybe.
So I'll read a little of this. Let's see. I'm going to skip down to the astronauts thing. The intense pace of our lives required us to be well-rested, alert, and awake in order to be efficient. The same is true in the world of space exploration. With their long list of duties, astronauts must certainly be on the ball. For example, they need to operate spacecraft, communicate with whatever. Interestingly, NASA, in partnership with SpaceWorks Enterprises, has been developing a cryogenic sleep chamber for astronauts. The CryoSleep technology supposedly works by lowering the astronaut's body temperature to 89, somewhere between 89 and 93 degrees Fahrenheit, which at either point you're dead, by the way. So I'm not sure how they're doing that. Causing them to slip into sort of a hibernation. And as for nutrition and going to the bathroom, they hook you up to like permanent catheters, I guess, that would pump stuff into your stomach and then carry away the waste.
Oh, this sounds fun.
Yeah, sounds wonderful.
This sounds like a good time.
And this technology,
all right, so we're gonna fucking hook in your catheter and all that shit. And then we're gonna we're gonna freeze you down 89 degrees.
Gonna
so
get your shit tube up. Ready for your shit tube? Oh, okay, your shit tube's in. It's like you don't see that in the fucking movies. Like they're just like in like a goo or a liquid usually, or sometimes
in Alien they just like lay in a nice little comfy bed, and the next thing you know, boom, they're asleep. They're
put
fucking
some stuff on you.
Sleeping.
You cryo sleep. You're good.
You wake up, you're like, oh, cryo sleep, and that's it.
Well, in Alien, some of them throw up after cryo sleep.
That's true. Some of them are like, bleh, but most of them just seem like, oh yeah, Oh, that was good.
They've got cryo sickness.
Fucking bastards.
So, interestingly, NASA, in a partnership with SpaceWorks Enterprising, been developing a cryogenic sleep chamber for astronauts. Blah blah blah. Lowers your body temperature. The second, this is to put people to sleep for 2 weeks, and it isn't. By the way, it's not even been approved for actual trials on humans yet. So that's why we're looking at these like weird 3D.
It sounds like a fucking
mock-ups.
nightmare, dude. I don't even know who would want. I don't even know who would volunteer for the fucking trial. Like, hey,
crazy people.
Like, yeah, all right. I got nothing to lose. It's gonna be some sad, desperate people being the guinea pigs for this shit.
And even like I said, they're theorizing that they can safely put somebody into this state of hibernation for 2 weeks. Why would they want to do that? Well, stuff to keep people occupied in space over long journeys. Like weight is at a premium. We'll go into that a little later about how mass is a huge problem, but if you've got to keep a bunch of astronauts busy 24/7, 365 on a mission to Mars or whatever, you're going to have to pack that thing full of a lot of equipment for them to share and shit. This would allow maybe a skeleton crew to be awake to keep the ship running and use some of the little bikes and the 2 little things that they have in there to work out while the rest of the crew is like this, sealed up in the
sleepy weepy.
This is from Event Horizon, by the way, one of my favorite weird sci-fi horror movies.
Space horror sci-fi flick.
That is what's his name there in the center, Sam Neill.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So anyway, this technology is far from existing, and something like this, and I kind of pulled that one too for a reason. It's okay though. We can sit on this one for a minute, because not only you need to find a way to put people to sleep for way longer than 2 weeks in order to get the weight down for how much food and space you need on this ship to house people, but you've got to shield them from the immense, crazy fucking radiation and all that shit that happens during travel through space. And so that's another one of the things that these couches need to be able to do, right? Is radiation shielding and
sustain your biological functions. I mean, there's so many things they would have to do in order to keep you alive and healthy and well. And it's another probably have in space is people's bone density, because you're not under the same gravity. So it's you also have to have some way to stimulate gravity so people's bones and muscles don't atrophy also during this time. Because if you get there and you haven't used your muscles in 60 years,
yep,
you have to figure something how are you gonna be able to move?
So there's a whole complex. It's like the kind of Matrix pods or whatever, where they got you hooked up to all these things that keep your muscles stimulated and keep your body fucking hydrated and all this shit. You would need something on the level of that. So being able to put because you need people not using 90% of their normal oxygen. You need people using 1% of it. You know what I mean? Because every bit of that you have to take along with you on these missions costs weight, which costs thrust, which we'll get to, I guess.
Until you get warp drive, dude. Until that warp drive comes in and solves all these problems in a single bound.
On top of that, being in space for prolonged periods of time is deleterious to the body, or whatever. It's degenerative to the body. They've done studies, so they would have to come up with something like artificial gravity, which they don't have. Nobody's ever invented. So that's another piece of technology that doesn't exist yet and is only theorized about, that would have to be invented to get a significant amount of people from here to Mars.
It's not a minor little problem.
Well,
So interstellar travel, however, poses additional problems, which is why, for the moment, manned interstellar travel is pretty much impossible. Assuming, for the moment, it's a safe assumption, the first interstellar travelers will not have the benefit of warp drive or whatever. They'll have to be shielded from this shit. Just the acceleration and deceleration. If we find a way to go faster, the people that we send are going to have to be shielded in some way from the massive G forces that would be generated, accelerating and decelerating at a rapid rate. So
gotta protect people.
Yeah, some way to compensate for that.
And aging as well. These kind of high acceleration and the effects of aging are inversely related. So you can't get around them. You've got to find a way to get around them if you want to travel with human beings in space. And there's really nothing that exists or is even really theorized to actually do that. So another problem that I wanted to look at is thrust. I thought it would be cool to just kind of look at us. I always like watching these. I found a quick one.
Yeah, because they explode.
Yeah, there's lots of fire.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Oh, look at that
1,
beautiful hydrogen.
And liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis.
Boom.
Assemble the framework for the science laboratories of tomorrow.
So
Controlling.
this launch was in order to get some stuff up to the space station, the outer parts of what would eventually, after a few more missions, become a science lab up there. So that is the amount of thrust that it takes to get the frame of a little space station science lab and a space shuttle into orbit. So this is another huge hindrance to us getting any kind of materials out into space or getting a whole lot of material from Earth to support a colony, is that every little gram of weight on these things is added up by people. I shit you not. Like, that's what rocket scientists do. They measure how much every component of this weighs, because every little ounce matters. You need that much more fuel. The fuel itself has weight. And so the more fuel you bring, the more fuel you have to bring to compensate for the fuel. So
it's like a nightmarish problem, is what you're saying.
go ahead.
It's like I think every little thing you do, it's like, so you break. So like basically you're strictly limited to how much you can bring, which obviously limits the emissions you can undertake, which limits every little detail of it. And obviously we know if you make a mistake, everyone dies.
Right.
So then the mission's a failure. So it's like, it's such an exacting process to even build the International Space Station.
But there's no limits to magic, Scotty. Close your eyes and believe, Scotty, and you and I will be in outer space.
All right, I'm closing my eyes. I just got to believe in outer space.
Believe, Scotty.
Okay.
Believe.
All right, I'm seeing myself on Mars, TJ.
I'm waiting.
I'm on Mars. I'm on the red planet.
This motherfucker doesn't goddamn believe.
I do believe. I believed I was on Mars.
You're a piece of shit, Scotty. You bring up. It's because of you.
You know
we're
what?
stuck here on this fucking piece of
You
shit
just believe
planet, Scotty.
You just believe and show me out the.
Yeah.
Scotty.
I'm sorry, I didn't believe.
Yeah, why don't you
No,
just
leave it to you.
believe?
It would take the combined belief of Scotty and I to traverse space.
So it's my fault then.
Okay, TJ.
Gotcha.
Got it.
And I believe. So I know it must be him that does not believe. Look, we're even wearing the same fucking shirt.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, mine's different.
I mean, but it's basically the same fucking shirt.
No, it's not, dude. It's totally different.
Okay, whatever.
It's not even at all similar.
Today's show is brought to you by Adidas.
Yeah, Jesus,
A few
man.
days worth of shows were brought to you by Adidas, I guess.
Yeah, I guess
Fuck
so.
you, corporate ass label wearing fucking pieces of shit, bro.
Unlike me.
Anyway, so there's a variety of theoretical techniques for accelerating a spacecraft to an extremely high speed and thus crossing the interstellar medium in less time, perhaps maybe even several decades. However, the most plausible of these largely implausible designs work only for small and lightweight spacecraft, such as massive sails built to manipulate the solar wind. Those have to be coupled with some kind of microwave emitter in Earth orbit to keep them going in the right direction. There's a couple of these that we'll talk about a little later, these solar sails that have been out, but we'll talk about the limitations of those in a minute. There's theoretically no minimum size for a solar sail, but the same mass, but for the same mass spacecraft, you got to have a bigger and bigger sail, obviously. So it's the same problem with the fuel. It's like the bigger the spacecraft is, and you need a lot of room to set up a colony on another planet, the bigger the sail has to be. This one here is, I think this is called, I'm trying to remember what this one was called. Light Sail 2. It's a Cal Poly that's actually up in the sky. It's the first solar sail satellite. The biggest solar sail built to date is the Icaros spacecraft developed by the Japanese. It's like 196 square meters, about half the size of a basketball court. The funny thing about this is that you look at the solar sail, the thing that it's propelling is a tiny little ball of sensory equipment at the center.
Yeah, this little thing, this little black dot, right?
So you need half a football field worth of this stuff to push a tiny little sensor ball around the universe or around the solar system.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this little tiny sensor ball, it's been tested. It works. It's done a flyby of Venus, I guess.
Okay.
It's on its way to do a flyby of Mercury. So it works. It moves pretty fast, but that's not going to hold a whole lot of people.
No.
Much less water, food, supplies, etc.
Well, it's like, a lot of people talk about this stuff. It's like, oh, well, Earth has all these problems. We can terraform Mars or something. But it's like, you just see with this episode that, like, the logistical challenges of terraforming, like, we're not even ready to travel to Mars. Really.
I mean, if we had the level,
like a probe or something.
The problem is, if we had the level of mastery needed to terraform a totally inhospitable planet, we would have the technology to fix our own.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like a paradox. You know what I mean?
So yeah, this other one is this Light Sail 2, which once again is propelling this tiny little sensor bundle. It's got a smaller sail. And that's kind of the point right now is they're trying to figure out how to get these like micro satellites and stuff up and use it for that. The idea of using this to propel a giant spacecraft through space is not even really being explored right now because it would have to be, like a continent in size or some shit. It'd have to be absurd. You'd have to assemble it in space. So yeah, pretty impossible on that front. And I really
at this point,
I tried to look and see if there was anything going on. There's this other engine. I think I pulled a little something about it. Maybe TJ missed it.
Might have.
Sorry. Or we might have skipped over it.
Damn you, TJ.
Yeah, was it this article here? Because I think there was an article.
Yeah, there's like an article. Yeah.
Okay, this one.
So if you read this, I mean, like you gotta, and it's a Politico article, so whatever. But the headline is "The Rocket Engine That Could Transform Space Travel," and this is about this electric. This is about the electric engine, I think.
This is an electric propulsion taken to a new level of power. The company's CEO, Franklin, this is a company of Ad Astra.
Right.
Franklin Chang Diaz told us on Thursday from Houston. We've been after that goal for many years now. Assuming everything stays together, the rocket seems to be comfortable and all the temperatures stable. Everything seems to be working out. It's a big deal for us. So he's a former NASA astronaut and mechanical engineer. Chang Diaz is, calls the engine with an exhaust temperature of 5 million degrees an alphabet soup of supercharged particles. This is what the sun and stars are made of.
Wow, dude.
There's no other electric rocket that has the capability. The most powerful operational electric rocket is 5 kilowatts. We're at 80 kilowatts right now. We've been running for more than 3 days.
By the way, I want to remind everybody. So he's bragging about 80 kilowatt output on his electric jet engine, right? Plasma jet engine. The average power of a space shuttle at takeoff is 12 gigawatts or 12 billion watts of power. 16 million horsepower. So, you know, this little engine and the solar sail shit is the only credible shit that I could find that was actually being worked on that would change the way that we do things right now, which is to strap a big giant engine on to a big container of hydrogen and cross our fingers. Light it up, boys. Here we go. Woo!
Yeah, hopefully it works.
So the idea is, you know, not really there. And the last problem, of course, we can skip ahead a little bit. There's another video. I thought we could look at another. Yeah, this is just another launch.
Should I just where to start here? I guess we'll start.
Yeah, it was time stamped, but whatever.
0.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine. It's fine.
Right. And liftoff. As the countdown to Mars continues, the perseverance of humanity launching the next generation of robotic explorers to the Red Planet.
So this was the last mission to Mars. This is Perseverance Rover. I thought we'd talk a little bit about it. We can look at the next picture. It's a pretty big motherfucker. It's actually the biggest rover we've ever put out on Mars. This is a picture with a human to scale of the size of the different rovers that have gone to Mars. Perseverance is on the right here. It's about the size of like a small SUV.
This picture sucks.
Yeah, sorry,
potato.
I didn't realize it was such a potato quality picture.
But yeah, I mean, I guess all that matters is the scale of shit. So like, yeah, you can totally see the scale here.
Yeah, the Perseverance rover is about the size of an SUV, weighs a little over 2,000 pounds, a little heavier than a micro SUV would be. It took that rocket just to get it onto Mars.
Fuck.
And everything that was needed to support the mission to get it on Mars. So the little
it takes a
radar
lot
dishes.
of power to get that shit up there.
Right. So 2,300 some odd pounds this thing weighs. And it took everything we got on one of our strongest and fastest exit vehicles to get this thing into space.
So you're telling me is just give humanity another, couple thousand years and we'll be at Mars. We'll be at Mars, no problem.
We nailed it down.
No problem. we'll be terraforming Mars in no time.
Get me up there.
Yeah, just give us a couple thousand more years, guys. Boom.
Boom.
Mars.
It's like nothing.
I'm sure I'll see that within my lifetime. I'm definitely going to live that long.
I'm up there already, Scott.
Oh, you're there?
Yeah.
I'm there in my mind.
I'm projecting a hologram down to you.
You are shit.
Yeah, I'm
Damn.
already on Mars.
Pretty fat hologram.
Yeah.
So
life is good on Mars, bitch.
Yeah, must be.
manned spacecraft have to be orders of magnitude bigger than this kind of spacecraft that's just delivering a fucking SUV to Mars, right? Because they have to contain all of the apparatus and space necessary for humans to survive inside of them. You know, honestly, like, you may think that this show was born out of, like my doomerism, but it was actually like, man, I hope we reach the grim darkness of the Warhammer 40K universe. This is an ARC ship from that universe, which is supposed to be like the size of a continent. It's like a giant bunch of cities, incredibly ancient ships that have everything inside of them to support 1 billion people or more. And they're capable, and this is really the type of thing that humanity would need, honestly, in order to do the type of traveling between the stars that people dream about.
Yeah.
This huge kind of self-sustaining beast of a ship that doesn't need any kind of support because it's got, endless places where food is grown and endless,
Oh, yeah. A self-contained environment, basically an ecosystem that has everything you need generationally, like any resource that, we need water, we need medical supplies, we need whatever. And that can all be self-sustaining and self-manufacturing. So, like, the capabilities you would need to have something like this, this is what you would need. But we're not even close to this. We're not even fucking remotely in the neighborhood of this.
Oh, Scotty.
We wouldn't even be able to build this on the planet and on a planet and then launch it into space. It would have to be built in space, which itself
you have to build this motherfucker in space. Yeah.
and that itself is a whole nother problem, because then you have to move all of the things to build the manufactory that would build this thing into space. At some point, the paradox has to end. You know what I mean? Like you either you can or you can, and it would take just
has to meet the road somewhere. Yeah. And
you'd have to start as like something like what we have with the space station, and then you just have to like keep adding to it and adding to it and adding. To it.
That's why I'm allotting for that increase in mass and maintaining with ever powerful thrusters the resistance against the Earth's gravity to keep it in orbit, and like so you'd have to. It's just it's crazy to even think about us building
technological progression. A sustained technological just development and mathematical development, and all these things have to just keep going in that direction, where you can send bigger and bigger objects into space. And eventually we can have shipyards in space where you can start building ships in space. So you even bypass the problem of having to get out of our gravity.
Oh, Scotty. The eye of a newt. The tail of a jackrabbit. The dreams, Scotty, of a murderous widow. Put them in a pot, boil them at 666 degrees for 666 days, Scotty.
And what do you get?
Drink from the brine. Then think Mars.
Why don't you just do that?
You're there, Scotty. It's that easy. No mathematics required. Just reach out and grab it, Scotty.
If I went to Mars, wouldn't I die?
Grab the tidal force of creation. Take the reins in your hand and declare yourself God.
But if I went to Mars right now, I would die, like, immediately.
Yeah, probably true.
I mean, so even if that worked, I would be dead.
Yeah.
Are you just trying to kill me, TJ?
I think he is trying to kill you.
If this works, I'm dead.
One last little article I think I pulled before we let everybody go that isn't a patron. Certainly the patrons have a bountiful feast to eat, but you plebs, you get a little micro dose here.
That's all you get, fucking bitch. Join the Patreon, stupid.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you one way to escape this gay earth. Join the Pessimist Productions Patreon, where every episode feels like an escape from this fucking dreary world.
It's true. It is so true. Next slide, please.
Oh, sorry.
Next slide, please.
Next slide. Here
Slide, please.
So let's read a little bit from this.
Dude, Paul, you're so stupid. All we have to do is build this fucking thing and we're good.
You know what, Paul? This pessimist episode right here,
just do it, Paul.
If we build warp drive, if we have a massive AI, singularity, and burst of technology and development, if we build a massive ship like this with an ecosystem built into it, and then bam, we colonize the universe.
Look at this. This is legit.
You know,
this is good stuff.
I'm not even going to bother reading this naysayer of a fucking article, because clearly they don't realize that all we got to do is just build the giant fucking generation ship and just put everybody on it.
It's impossible, Paul, until it's fucking done, dude.
Right. And look at how comfy it looks.
The human spirit, bro. Come on.
It's so beautiful and idyllic on the generation ship.
We got the blueprint right fucking here. There it is.
And I'll tell you what, even though we have to travel from countless generations, if there's one thing we know about humans, cooperation, strong suit, getting along, strong suit.
Let me ask you
not
something.
Having conflict, strong
that's why
suit.
we have 3 different fucking land masses, Scotty. So obviously the disagreeing factions can each have their own fucking strip of equal size. There's no one can complain anything's unfair.
There you go.
Right? And
True.
check this out. What do you see here that we ain't got? Dirt and trees and shit? We got that. Big ass fucking tubes. We can make one of those.
Some sun.
Yeah. Little fucking fake sun. I've seen a sun lamp. Build a big one. Big ass sun lamp in the middle of the motherfucker.
Wow. You know what, TJ? Maybe it is possible.
Yeah,
maybe we can do it.
You've convinced me, TJ. You've convinced me.
It's done. I mean, it's practically done.
You've undoomer pilled me.
It's there. It's just there for the taking. I mean, I guess we'd have to have some like artificial gravity and like a way to get it up there and stuff.
Yeah,
we'll figure that out.
A little details.
Artificial oxygen. But it's like, but most of the shit we got tubes.
We're
plants.
like 98.7% of the way
I'd
there.
say we got like 90% of the shit we need.
Yeah, the most important thing with a project is you set a date and you stick to it. You know what I mean? So that's all we got to do. We'll figure out the little logistical things, along the way.
Well, I want to live here, so I mean, like probably in the next 5 or 6 years would be good for me.
Years? Why did it take years?
I think months, TJ.
Well, I mean, it's pretty big.
Months.
You know, it takes a minute.
Minutes.
6 months tops, TJ. Tops.
Minutes?
All right.
Seconds. Nanoseconds.
You know what? It launched yesterday.
Fuck.
I'm on it right now.
Yesterday is the fucking goddamn date.
I'm reporting live from it right now.
Oh, damn, he's floating, dude.
It's beautiful. It's
the
even
proof.
more beautiful than I imagined. Can't believe it.
Thanks for watching. We're done. Bye-bye.
Deep Fat Fried. Deep Fat Fried.